So today we're going to deconstruct something pretty fascinating. It's a piece of media that tells one single story by weaving together two totally different worlds, a very real modern-day disaster and a project that's inspired by an ancient powerful symbol.
Right off the bat, you can see the contrast. On one hand, you've got a real-time crisis, a true disaster affecting thousands of people. And on the other, a massive construction project that was literally born from a bad dream. So the big question, the one we're really digging into here, is what's the powerful message being created by putting these two stories right next to each other?
All right, so first up, let's dive into that first narrative, this widespread and frankly dangerous weather event that's unfolding right here in the United States. The story drops us right into Minot, North Dakota, and the footage, it's pretty grim. It zeroes in on the Souris River, which is just completely overflowing its banks and creating a genuine catastrophe for the entire community. And the human costs? I mean, it's just laid bare right away. We learn that 11,000 people have been forced from their homes, their lives just completely turned upside down by these rising waters.
And then you see the sheer scale of the physical destruction. It's just immense. You're seeing images of 2,500 homes completely swamped by the river. I mean, some of these houses are submerged right up over their rooftops. It's just a devastating sight to see.
And here's the thing. This wasn't just another bad flood. Not by a long shot. The source makes it clear this was a record-shattering event. It completely smashed a benchmark that had stood for 130 years. This was something nobody had seen in more than a century.
And then the story just pulls the camera back, right? It zooms out. And you realize this isn't just about Minot. The footage starts framing this as a full-on national crisis. You've got alerts spanning 20 different states. It even points out that our infrastructure, dams built 50, 80 years ago, they just can't handle this. It suggests a much bigger, more systemic problem.
Okay, so now get ready for a total change of scenery. We're going to see how this real-world crisis is contrasted with something totally different, all the way across the Atlantic in the Netherlands. It's pretty unexpected.
So you might be wondering, why build this thing? And the motivation, it's incredibly personal. This massive, monumental project didn't start with some engineering plan or a government committee. Nope, it came from the builder's own dream, a vision of a flood that inspired him to get to work.
And to really get the gravity of this whole thing, you have to remember the ancient story it's referencing. This isn't just some big boat. It's a recreation of Noah's Ark, a hugely powerful symbol of salvation in the face of absolute destruction.
And man, this just perfectly captures the sheer ambition here. They're using words like colossal and Hollywood huge for a reason. This is not some little model. It's a massive, faithful recreation of the biblical ship, and it creates this totally surreal spectacle out there in the Dutch countryside.
Okay, so let's pause for a second. We've got these two completely separate stories running side by side. On one hand, a real-time, chaotic disaster. On the other, this faith-inspired, methodical creation. So what's the deal? Why are we being shown these two things at the same time?
Well, what's happening here is a classic and really powerful storytelling trick. By putting these clips that seem totally unrelated next to each other, a technique called juxtaposition, it's actively encouraging us, the audience, to connect them, to see one story through the lens of the other.
And this is where it gets really interesting when you break it all down. Look at this contrast. You've got the chaos and the very real danger of the floods set against the symbolic safety and order of building the Ark. You have news reports of a national crisis right next to this quiet, personal act of faith. And without saying a single word, an argument starts to form that maybe, just maybe, a biblical-style prophecy is unfolding right now.
And that's the absolute key here. The real power of this piece isn't in what's being said out loud, it's in what it shows us, together. The entire message is constructed through editing choices, through association, and it leaves it up to us, the viewers, to connect those dots and finish the story in our own heads.
Which really leaves us with this final big question to think about. It's a great reminder of the power of storytelling. How does our understanding of what's happening right now, any crisis really, change or even get totally transformed when it's framed by these incredibly powerful ancient stories that are just so deeply woven into our culture?